What's happening, everyone? My name is Alex and welcome back. Over the past few years, technology and AI has been making our life better and easier. These days you can just sit back, relax and have a robot do all the cleaning for you. In today's video, we are checking out one of the best values roller mop robot vacuums available on the market. This right here, it's called the Yuthi C28. This robot here will do all the vacuuming, all the washing, all the emptying, everything basically all by itself while you relax. So this will take care of the cleaning while you chill back and relax. As always, there will be some links available in the video's description so you can check out this robot vacuum out here. And of course, before we go any further, I also want to mention that this video is sponsored by Eufy. Okay, and we are starting with one of my favorite features for this robot vacuum, and that of course is the Hydrojet self-cleaning roller mop that we have at the bottom of the robot here. So at this price range, this is in fact the longest roller mop that you can find on a robot vacuum. This is 10.7 inches long, and this also applies 10 newtons of downward force onto the floor. So whenever the robot vacuum goes over any mess on the floor, it's going to be able to clean anything that's on the floor. As the roller mop spins inside the vacuum here, it also gets cleaned constantly. So every spin, the roller mop here actually gets scrubbed inside the robot vacuum here, and all the dirty water, all the contamination actually stays inside the robot vacuum, and eventually it will go back to the docking station and empty itself out, and of course even wash the mop. If you actually check out the dirty water tank in the all-in-one station, you're gonna be surprised to see how dirty that water is, and that water is like that even though I have the robot vacuum cleaning every second day. So yes, the floors do get filthy, but luckily with this sort of system, all that filth ends up inside that all-in-one station, so there is no cross-contamination as the vacuum goes over a surface in your house. So if you spill something on the floor, if there is any sort of mess on the floor, everything will end up inside the robot vacuum and eventually in the all-in-one station. So your floors are gonna look spotless all the time. Now, the one thing I cannot stand with many of these robot vacuums is removing all the hair from the brush that we have at the bottom here. But with the C28, that's not a problem anymore. I don't actually have to clean any hair from these brushes here. Now, let's see if I can do this with one hand. So the manufacturer calls this the dual spiral detangle brushes. So these are two separate brushes. You can actually remove them if you want. So if you pull on it, this will come out. And this is actually how the vacuum looks after cleaning my house for about 2 weeks. So there is literally not a single hair on this. To put this back, you basically push on it and then it kind of goes at the top there. So that easy. So what happens, all the hair gets rolled onto these brushes, but whenever the vacuum goes back to the all-in-one station, it will spin these the other way. So if there was any hair stuck on it, all the hair ends up inside the actual all-in-one station in that dust bag there, because these two brushes are actually separated. So I am so happy that I never have to clean the hair of these brushes. So if you hate that as well, this vacuum solves that 100%. There is absolutely no hair stuck on this, which is quite amazing. Alright, so we talked about floor washing, we talked about hair detangling, two of the very important things that I care about with my robot vacuum. How about suction power? Well, luckily this has a lot of suction power as well. So this robot vacuum has a suction power of 15,000 Pascal, which is quite insane. So it doesn't matter what kind of a surface it goes over, if it goes over carpets or just hard floors, it's going to be able to pick up anything because it has a lot of suction power. Not to mention that whenever this goes over carpets, it will increase the suction by itself. So it knows when it goes over a carpet and it will increase the suction to pick up anything from the floor. Everything ends up in the dustbin at the top here. Let me just take this out. So this is our dustbin right here. There is a filter in here as well that you're gonna have to maybe replace every so often or clean every so often. But basically everything from in here will end up in that all-in-one station. So we do have a sealed dust bag in there. So this empties itself out every so often. You actually select from the app how often it should empty itself out. But you basically don't have to do anything. This goes over floors, over carpets, over whatever. It will pick up anything, it will wash the floors, then everything will end up in that all-in-one station. So amazing suction as well. And when you pair that with the no hair tangling brushes, that is a very winning combination. Another very important part for any robot vacuum is of course the obstacle avoidance, mapping and navigation throughout your house. So this robot vacuum here has what the manufacturer calls iPath 2.0 laser navigation. So we have our LiDAR tower right here at the top. We also have a bumper that has a rubber strip around it and some sensors on the front here. And of course we have a variety of sensors at the bottom. So of course the vacuum knows how to identify objects throughout the house, avoid small objects. If it finds carpets, it knows that there are carpets there. So that is a very important part of this robot vacuum, because it has to navigate your home, know exactly where it has to go, know where it hasn't been. It has to go back to the docking station or the all-in-one station, depending how you wanna call it, so it can empty itself out, recharge and so on. So it does all that all by itself, because the last thing you want is have the robot vacuum on a cleaning cycle when you're not at home and then it gets stuck. Well, that is not the case with this robot vacuum here. This one knows how to navigate the house, go back to its all-in-one station and all that all by itself. So you don't really have to worry about anything. You just start a cleaning cycle or you schedule a cleaning cycle when you leave home and the vacuum will do everything by itself. Moving on to the all-in-one station that I already mentioned multiple times throughout the video, the first thing I wanna say is that the all-in-one station is one of the smallest that I've seen for a robot vacuum in quite a while. And inside there we basically have a water tank for clean water, so you would fill up that water tank with clean water. Then we have the dirty water tank, which I showed you earlier, so all the water collected from the robot vacuum will end up there. We also have a dust bag, so I don't know, depending how much stuff you have throughout your house, you will have to replace that dust bag every so often. In my case, it will probably last for a month or so, but it really depends on your home, of course. The all-in-one station also washes the mop, so whenever the vacuum goes back there, it will wash the mop. It will also refill the robot with water. So you can actually choose from the app how wet that roller mop at the bottom is whenever the robot vacuum is cleaning your home. So if you want that drier, you can select that from the app. You can also choose the suction power for the robot from the app. So everything is very customizable from the app. And whenever the robot vacuum is done a cleaning cycle, it will wash its mop. It will also dry the mop. And once again, you can select how long that mop should be dried for. It really depends where you live, if it's hot out there, if it's colder, and so on. But basically the all-in-one station is a very important part of the cleaning experience, because it does a lot of things for the vacuum to keep the vacuum going. So to quickly conclude this video, the Yuthi C28 is one of the most affordable robot vacuums that has this type of mopping system, because at this price range you typically get those two brushes at the bottom that kind of spin, but they just spread the dirt throughout your house. With this sort of mopping system here, all the dirt, everything from your floors ends up inside the robot vacuum, and this basically gets cleaned as it spins. So every time it spins, it gets scrubbed and all the dirt from it ends up inside the robot vacuum. So if you have pets, if you have kids that make a mess all over your floors, well, this vacuum will solve all those messes. Everything will be inside the robot vacuum. Now, another very important feature has to be the brush system at the bottom here, because it doesn't get all that hair tangled on the brush, which is very important. If you live with someone that has long hair, or if you have pets, You know how important that is, because otherwise the brush at the bottom here is constantly full of hair. Well, that's not the case with this one. There is literally no hair getting stuck on this brush here. So I absolutely love this system. We also have a lot of suction power, so anything from the floor will end up inside the robot vacuum. Plus you have that all-in-one station that does everything to make the experience even better. So basically a hands-free experience. Once again, there will be some links in the video's description so you can check out this robot vacuum. Thanks Eufy for sponsoring this video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave some comments down below and I'll try to answer whatever questions you may have. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.